Hi everyone, and welcome to Firefly in the Willow Yoga. I'm Rebecca. Pregnancy is such a special and sometimes challenging time. The body is growing a new human, the heart is preparing to open and accept a new child, and there are so many changes. In today's practice, we will use poses that open the hips and strengthen the body. During pregnancy, the body produces the hormone relaxin to relax the joints and muscles. So just remember to be kind and go slow with yourself today. Just because you can go further into a pose doesn't mean you should. I'll be using a couple of blocks and a pillow for today's class. So take a moment, gather what you need, and I'll see you on the mat. We'll begin today seated cross-legged on the mat. If you have a pillow that you'd like to use for your practice, you can bring that underneath your sit bones now. And we'll start by just settling in with the breath. You can rest your hands on your knees, or if you like, you can bring your hands to your belly. And close your eyes here, or just allow your gaze to lower and be unfocused. And we'll begin first by bringing our attention to the breath. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And just allowing ourselves to notice where we can most feel the breath entering and exiting the body. Perhaps you feel a sensation of coolness in your nose as you inhale, maybe warmth as you exhale. Perhaps what you notice most is a gentle rise and fall in your shoulders. Or if you're breathing down deep into your belly, you might notice your belly expanding and contracting. With your hands on your belly here, maybe you can even feel your baby move. Now begin to lengthen and smooth out the breath. We'll do that by inhaling to a count of 3 and exhaling to a count of 3. And we'll do that 3 times together. Beginning now with an inhale. Inhale, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3. And exhale, 2, 3. And now just return to your normal breath. Allow your eyelids to flutter open. We'll take the hands to the tops of the knees here and just begin with some gentle neck stretches. So inhaling, sitting up nice and tall, and then exhaling, dropping the left ear to the left shoulder. Allow the right shoulder and right elbow to be heavy here, creating some space between your shoulder Inhale the head back to center. And then drop the head over to the other side. Again, allowing that sense of heaviness to come into the left shoulder and the left elbow. Inhale back to center. We'll do this once more. Exhaling over to the right. Inhaling back to center. And exhaling to the other side. Inhaling the head back to center. And this time we're going to turn the head to a 45-degree angle towards the left. And then drop the chin. And you may feel this in the side and the back of the neck and the upper back. This may feel especially good if you have older children that you've been carrying around today. And if you'd like a little bit more sensation here, you can take one hand to the back of the head and then press the back of the head gently into the hand. So we're not so much pulling down on the head here as giving the head something to push against. And then we're releasing the head, allowing the hand to come back down, come back to center, and then turning the head 45 degrees towards the towards the right, dropping the chin. And if you like, bringing that hand to the back of the head, pressing the head into the hand. Continuing to breathe slowly and deeply here. And we'll allow that hand to release. We'll inhale the head back to center. And we'll take the fingertips out next to us on the mat. Inhaling up through the right arm now. We'll exhale as we reach over for the seam of the ceiling and the wall here, driving that right hip down into the floor, making the right side nice and long. Take an inhale here, breathing into that right side lung, and then exhale, allowing the right hand to swim back down to the mat. Inhaling up through the left arm now, and then exhaling, reaching up and over, bringing that left hip down towards the mat, taking a nice big inhale into that left lung, and then exhale, allowing the left fingertips to rain down. We'll be coming into a twist now. So we'll inhale both arms up overhead, reaching out through the fingertips. And then as we're exhaling, we'll drop over to the left side, bringing the right hand to the top of the left knee and bringing that left hand around behind. Hello, kitty cat. I have a visitor today. Bringing the fingertips behind the spine here, sitting up nice and tall. Turning from the center of the chest. And then on our next inhale, untwisting, allowing the arms to come back up overhead. And then exhale, twisting in the other direction. Inhaling to grow tall, exhaling, twisting for the center of the chest. And then releasing by inhaling the arms back up overhead. And exhale, allowing the hands to swim down. I have to evict you, kitty cat. to come to all fours now. So if you chose to sit on a pillow, you can move that out of the way. So we'll come to our all fours position, just using this as a little transition here. We're going to allow the big toes to come to touch as we let the knees come all the way out to the outer edges of the mat. And then on our next exhale, sinking the hips back. So making lots of room here for your belly. If you need a little extra support and you want to bring the pillow back under the belly, you can do that. And depending how far along you are, the belly might even rest on the floor here. So just allow yourself a moment, really stretching out through the fingertips, feeling the extension in the underside of the arm, sinking the hips back towards the heels. And also, if you experience any discomfort in the knees or hips here, you can always roll up a blanket and place it between the back of the leg and the back of the thigh. Allowing the lungs to expand fully here as the baby drops down. Breathing into the sides of the body and the back of the body. And then letting this pose go, we'll press into both palms as we inhale to come up. We're going to turn the toes under and come into a downward facing dog by shifting the hips up towards the ceiling, keeping the knees nice and bent here. And I invite you to step out wide to the wide edges of your mat. You can keep the knees just as bent as you need to make this comfortable. Really pressing your mat away, making your spine nice and straight here. If you like, you can even bend gently into one knee, extending the opposite heel down towards the floor. Now, if you chose to bring that movement in, you can bring that to stillness. Just allowing the heels to gently relax toward the floor, not really being concerned with whether or not they meet the floor, but just relaxing in that direction. And then taking a gaze forward, begin to walk the feet up towards the top of the mat, continuing to keep them wide here. And then coming into a semi-wide leg forward fold at the top of your mat. If it feels good here, you can lift the fingertips from the mat, holding on to the elbows, maybe allowing the crown of the head to relax down toward the floor, coming into a Ragdoll Pose. And if you need a little extra support here, you can always continue to keep the fingertips on the floor, or even bring a couple of blocks underneath the hands. Now bending both knees generously, we'll bring one hand above each bent knee and inhale all the way up to stand. If you like, you can bring the arms up overhead, reaching out through the fingertips. And then we'll allow the palms to touch, hands to come to heart center. Taking a moment here just to roll the shoulders back, open the chest, and again, take a nice deep breath. From here, we'll inhale the arms back up overhead, and you can grasp the right wrist with your left hand, reaching up and out of that side body, and again, coming into another little side stretch here over towards the right. Inhale back to center. We'll switch hands here, grasping the left wrist with the right hand and exhaling over towards the right. Inhaling now to release. And again, we'll allow the palms to touch, bringing the hands to heart center. And now continuing all the way down, bending the knees just as much as we need to, coming back down into forward fold. Fingertips on the floor or hands can come to blocks here. And now shifting the blocks out of the way if you're using them. I'm going to step the feet back, coming into half plank or high plank if that's part of your practice. And if you like to come through a vinyasa here and that's also part of your practice already, feel free to do that. Otherwise, we'll roll the toes under from here, shifting the hips back, coming back again into our wide leg, downward facing dog. Taking a deep breath here, exhaling, bending the knees, shifting the tailbone up towards the ceiling. And then we'll allow the feet to step a little closer to each other here. And you have a couple of options. One is to ground down into that left foot, inhaling the right leg up and opening that right hip up toward the ceiling, squaring the shoulders back down towards the mat. And if this just does not feel like where your body is wanting to go today, your other option is to come to a tabletop, making sure that your wrists are stacked right underneath your shoulders, your knees under your hip points, and then extending the right leg out behind, sinking that right hip down. So either in three-legged dog or tabletop with your extended leg. And then either way, coming back to your tabletop or coming back to downward facing dog, and then allowing the big toes to touch, sending the knees out wide, shifting back to child's pose. Staying here for 3 breaths. Two more breaths. Inhaling, pressing the palms into the floor, coming back to your tabletop, or rolling those toes under, coming into your downward facing dog. And then if you're in your downward facing dog and heading to three-legged dog, you can bring the toes a little closer to each other, grounding down through that right heel. Inhaling, left heel comes up, opening that left hip up to the sky, squaring the shoulders back to the top of the mat. Or from your tabletop, you may be extending out through that left heel, pressing both hands into the mat. And then extending through that left leg. If you're in three-legged dog, we'll allow the left foot to come back down to the mat. Big toes come to touch. Shifting back, child's pose. Inhaling to come back up now. You can choose to come back to downward facing dog, or if you like, you can come to tabletop. We're going to bring the right leg forward, bringing it in between the hands. And here, if you have some blocks and would like to create some extra space for yourself, you can bring the blocks on either side of that foot. Rolling up on the toe on the back, if you like, sinking that left hip down. This pose can also be taken with the left knee on the floor and the top of the left foot pressing into the floor. Coming into the lunge of your choice. And then if you are in the high lunge, dropping that left knee, the top of the left foot to the floor. We'll shift the blocks out of the way, and we're going to allow the right foot to heel toe out to the outer edge of the mat. Those right toes might even spill over the mat just a bit. Maybe you open the right knee out to the side to give yourself a little more space. So coming now into this proud lizard pose. Nice wide fingers. Allowing the pelvis to sink forward, making space for your belly by opening that leg out to the right. And this is a perfectly good place to be. So staying up high here if you like, or if you have a block, you can come down to your forearms on the block. Or maybe if it's already part of your practice, you might come down to your forearms on the mat. Breathing deeply into any sensations that you find here. These sensations of deep opening. Beginning to make that yoga breath in the back of your throat if you're not already. Exhaling through the nose, but making the shape in the back of your throat like you're exhaling onto a mirror. And then we'll come back up to the hands if you've lowered to the elbows. And heel toe that foot back in between the hands. Pressing the palms into the mat. We'll come up on the toes. And shift that foot back to the back. Coming to a plank or a half plank here. And then from here we're going to open up into a side plank or a supported side plank. So if you're in your half plank position, or if you just like to take a supported side plank, allow that left leg to kickstand out to the side, extending out through that right foot and pressing out to the outside edge of the feet. Of the foot as you open the arm up toward the ceiling. Making any adjustments that you need to in order to stack the shoulders here and feel nice and steady. Inhale, reaching up tall with the fingertips. And then exhale, dropping that right hand back down next to the left. And coming to your tabletop, or if you like, rolling the toes under, coming back, downward facing dog. And now taking this same sequence of poses on the other side. I'm going to inhale that left foot up in between the hands. And again, you're welcome to bring your blocks to frame the foot. As we exhale, coming into our left side lunge. You can always drop that right knee and top of the foot to the mat. We're all going to go there eventually anyway. And take another deep breath here. And then as you're exhaling, go ahead and lower that right knee and top of the foot to the mat. You can shift the blocks out of the way if you like. And we'll take both hands to the inside of the left foot, walking the left foot out to the outside edge of the mat, allowing those toes to spill over the mat. Maybe opening that left leg out to the side, pressing into the mat here, shifting the gaze forward, pressing the top of the foot into the mat. High lizard, proud lizard. And you can stay right here, or as you're exhaling, you can bring your block in, lowering down to the forearms on the block or on a mat. Breathing into the sensation of opening here. One more breath. And then coming back up to proud lizard if you're not there already. Shifting any props out of the way. Walking that left foot back in between the hands. Rolling the toes under in the back. And shifting back either to plank or to half plank. Either way, really pulling that navel into the spine, hugging your baby here with your belly. And from here, we'll kickstand that right foot out to the side. And open the left arm up toward the ceiling, pressing out through the left side of the left foot. If you'd like to take a regular side plank here, you can do that, just allowing you to have options. Inhaling here, fingers up tall, and then exhaling, allowing that left hand to come back down to the mat as we come back into our tabletop or downward facing dog. And if you did take the downward facing dog, come on down to your tabletop now. I'm going to take an arm-leg balance. This is a great abdominal exercise when you are pregnant. So hugging that navel in towards the spine, giving your baby a nice squeeze here, pressing the tops of both feet into the floor, and making sure your knees are under your hips and your wrists right under your shoulders. We'll inhale here, and as we're exhaling, we'll press out through the left heel, trying to bring equal balance in between the hands and sinking that left hip down. So we're not looking for an open hip here, but those hips being in line with each other. And then pressing into your foundation and firming those abdominal muscles. If you like, you can extend out through the opposite arm. Nice flat back here, all the way from the crown of the head through the tailbone. And we'll hold it here for 3, 2, 1, and then release the hand and the knee back to the mat. Take a deep breath. Find your foundation again. Hug your baby. And then exhale, pressing out through the right heel. And if and when you would like to, you can extend out through that left arm. Extending the arm is not a requirement here. So just do what you feel like is right for you. Sinking that right hip down. And staying here for 3, 2, 1, and release. Bringing both knees and both hands back to the mat. Now we'll do a little spinal release. Just inhaling to drop your baby down. Maybe even rock your baby side to side. And then exhale, rolling the tailbone under, pulling your belly button up, hugging your baby. Inhale, drop the belly down, Rock your baby side to side. And then exhale. Hug your baby up and in. And one more time here. Inhale, rock the baby side to side. And then exhale. Give your baby a nice big hug. And now release, coming back to a neutral spine. We'll take the hands, a couple of handprints out in front, rolling the toes under in the back and shifting up into our last downward facing dog. Remembering to keep your knees bent so you can straighten your spine and make just as much room for yourself here as you need to. And we'll stay here for 3, 2, and 1. And then shifting the gaze forward, we're going to walk the feet up to the outside edges of the mat in the center of the mat. And if you like to grab one of your supports here, one of your blocks, you can bring the block just a little behind your heels. And then we'll allow the fingertips to also walk back towards the feet. We're going to come into a squat pose here. So your toes can be slightly turned out or parallel, whatever works for you here. And taking a nice deep breath as we're exhaling, we'll allow the hips to sink down and the elbows to come to the inside edges of the knees. If you need more than one block here, you can grab another if you have it available. And also, if you prefer to do this pose without a block, you may. Coming into a different squat variation. Just allow your elbows to press into your knees here and your knees to press into your elbows. Actively pressing the palms of your hands into each other. And seeing if you can bring your chest up, your spine straight. Feeling this opening in the hips. This squat position is one that many women find helpful for delivery. So it can be a nice thing to keep as part of your yoga practice during this time. And then we'll allow this pose to release, taking one hand in front, maybe using the other to move your prop out of the way. And then bringing the other hand around behind and gently lowering back down to a seated position. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together here, but coming into a diamond pose rather than a butterfly. So allowing the heels to be a good distance away from the body so that there's this nice open space for your belly. And now taking the hands to the shins or perhaps to the knees. Just allow yourself to open the chest, maybe lifting the chin slightly. And if you like this sensation of opening and wish to stay right here, then I invite you to do that. And if you like to deepen the sensation a little, you can allow your belly to sink down into the space created by your legs. Allowing your neck to remain straight and your back straight. Moving your shoulder blades towards each other on the back. And maybe taking your gaze to your big toes, the arches of your feet. And then inhaling to come back up from this pose. We'll come back to a cross-legged position. And bringing the hands to the knees, we'll do one last bit of work here to release the spine. So inhaling to open the chest, allowing the belly to shift forward. And then as we're exhaling, we're going to Dip into the left side body, pulling the navel into the spine, pressing back against the knees here, and then inhaling into the right side body and all the way back to center. So making this sort of barrel roll with the belly. Exhale, circling back. Inhale, circling forward. And feel free to close your eyes here and get into this movement just as much as it feels good to do. As you come back up to the top the next time, switch sides, going the other direction. Inhale back up to the top, and then allow this motion to release. I'm going to take the feet out wide now and take the soles of the feet to the floor. So you have a nice distance here between the legs. I'm going to reach down in between the legs and grasp either the big toes or the outsides of the feet here. And then pull back gently, allowing the hips to open. If you're familiar with Happy Baby, this is a variation of Happy Baby taken seated. And you might even rock from side to side a little here. To come to stillness, taking any last movement here that feels good for you and for your baby. And then setting up for a side lying Shavasana. So you might want to get your pillow, and maybe a block. And we'll come down to the mat on the left side, allowing the block to be in between the knees here. And then maybe supporting the head with the pillow. And just allowing the body to relax here, feeling the benefits of our practice. And if your belly needs a little support here, you could take another pillow and put it under the belly, or make any other adjustments to make yourself more comfortable. Allow your body to just become heavy and sink into the floor. Taking the opportunity for these few minutes of stillness and silence. To wiggle your fingers and your toes. Take a deep breath all the way down into your belly. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Take a deep breath. And then, as you become ready, press yourself back to a seated position, or just allow yourself to remain here in Shavasana if you have some extra time today. Thank you so much for joining me today for this practice. I hope that this was a useful, helpful, and calming practice for you and for your baby. And I wish you all the best on the remainder of your pregnancy journey, and I hope that your yoga follows you. Off the